This conference will now be recorded.
All right, so we can start over then. No, welcome. Because one thing we didn't do then with Hannah and Alexa, I mean, just go around, we kind of spoke in generalities and stuff. So, like, where are y'all from? And Hannah, you have MS, correct?
Yes, I do.
How long have you been diagnosed?
Since June of 2017, 3 years.
Okay.
You were young when you were diagnosed then.
Yes, I was 27, so
Okay.
yeah, I'd still consider that very young.
Yes, it's very young. And are you taking any sort of disease modifying therapy?
Yes, I'm on Ocrevus right now.
Okay.
Yeah. I honestly I really like being on Ocrevus, so.
Well, that's a good testimonial. How long have you been taking it?
I've been taking it for perhaps 2.5 years now. I think I've taken my 6th dose last May. I stopped counting, honestly.
Awesome.
Yeah, but I feel good on it.
That's good.
Mhm.
Well, then I'm Dan Digman, and this is my wife Jennifer. And I was diagnosed. Actually, I was 27 when I was diagnosed. You can do the
Mm,
math if you will, but I've had it for like 21 years then. So,
mm.
and I'm on the beta seron, looking into Ocrevus. So that's it.
And I'm Jennifer, as Dan said, and I was diagnosed almost 23 years ago. It'll be 23 years in November. When I was diagnosed when I was 23.
Okay.
I take Rituxan, which is like a kissing cousin to Ocrevus. I've been told that they're very similar. So
Yeah, I've heard that name floating around. So I don't know too much about Rituxan, but I have heard of it.
it's kind of like Ocrevus, where it's a infusion that I take every 6 months. In like two, you do one, and then you wait 2 weeks, then you do another little dose, and wait 6 months. Yeah.
Very good. Well, then, and we'll just go clockwise according to my computer. But so there at 1 o'clock, I see Frank. Frank, what do you got?
Hey, I'm Frank Austin. I was diagnosed, guess what, 23 years ago. But I wasn't 23. I'm a little bit older than that. I am on nothing, not just manages the symptoms. I have secondary progressive MS, so the doctors say and science says nothing's really good for secondary progressive, so I'm on nothing. But again, I treat the symptoms, and hey, I'm a happy guy, so what more can I say?
Now, and then working back down, then it's 4 o'clock is Gail. Gail, where are you from, and how long you've had MS?
Hi, I'm Gail Emerson. I live in Houston, Texas, and I am and I recently found out that I have MS back in the fall of last year. So I'm also on Ocrevus, and I just had my first infusion in the spring, and I'll have my next one, my first full dose in November. So
Wow.
get this.
Then let's just pause for a moment and enjoy this here, because this will be the first time of this group that the Michigan contingency is down to 2, and Texas takes the cake with 3 of them. So
Wow.
Yeah.
so then Alexa, you're here as an observer, but talk, because it's so cool to finally meet you, because we've done so much back and forth in email and stuff. So it's great to have you here.
I'm Alexa. I'm in Palestine, Texas. I'm not too far from Gail or Hannah. I'm observing tonight. You guys are the experts in MS because you have it. So I'm so honored that I get to hear your stories and hear your perspectives on things. I'm directing the MS webinar, the talk, that's next month on the 30th. So definitely want to just hear what you guys have to say and learn from you.
Very good. Thanks for coming tonight. It's awesome.
Thank you.
Now checking over, because I'm not skipping you, Hannah, because we've already heard about you there. 8 o'clock, it's Kim.
I'm Kim. I'm from Des Moines, Iowa. I have relapsing remitting. I was diagnosed in 2012, and I'm on Ocrevus.
That seems to be the drug of choice. So
Yeah,
nice.
Seems to be popular.
it does. What's interesting, Hannah, if you go way back to the dark ages when you used to have to, well, Gail, you too, when you had to start, you had to fail at the ABC drugs, and now you go straight to the big guns with the Ocrevus, or I think that's really nice because I don't know, Frank, did you take,
I
yeah,
did
you're,
them all.
yeah.
Yeah.
What about you, Kim? Did you try like a bunch of different things as well?
I was on Rebif first, but the side effects were so awful. I had the flu-like symptoms for way over 6 months. Constantly temperature, going nuts, and headaches, and I can't do it. This, so we did Gilenya. I did Gilenya for 5 years, but then when I went temporarily blind in my left eye 2 years ago, he decided that was a failure and then switched me to Ocrevus.
Yeah.
Oh.
So it's nice that doctors bring out the big guns, like no waiting around and getting worse.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm glad my neurologist did that with me. Well, almost. She had me try Gilenya for a little while, but I think 3 months later she found new lesions on my checkup MRI. So she figured, let's not do this. Let's go to those big guns and
Yeah.
get it right away. And I'm happy she did that because I have heard of the dark ages of having MS, and I am so thankful to be diagnosed, now, very recently.
Is that, I mean, because and we've talked about this before, and Jennifer and I talk about it all the time, but it's like, because if you're newly diagnosed, you have like now what, 17, 18 drugs, because the FDA just approved a new one like 3 weeks ago or something. But I always equate it to television. Then it's like growing up, we had 2, 7, and 9. You had 3 channels. You limited options, but now you've got 17. I look at like when going to Netflix, you look at videos and you've got like a billion videos. Like, where do I even start? Whereas if you only had like 10 VHS tapes to choose from, it made your choices easier. Is it more difficult now, or is that just you love though that you have the big guns that y'all can just get right away? You don't have to worry about the choice. The choices don't bother you. I always think it's cool that there's options for everybody, but
Well, I'm personally happy to have all those options, because I know that everybody is different in the way that they react to these things. So it's just amazing that we can have that doctor, we can have that neurologist with us to sort of weigh the options and tell us, or narrow it down, I should say, narrow down our choices for us out of all of that huge list. I think you said it was 19, is that correct?
Yeah.
I actually lost count myself a little while ago because I looked into it.
Yeah. So many.
Yeah.
And
But I personally love having all those choices.
it's good. Was it difficult for you, Gail, to decide what medicine to take?
Well, my MS is primary progressive, so I have a great neurologist, and she made the recommendation, and we have my husband and I have a lot of confidence in her recommendation, in her. And she was the one that found the inflammation on an MRI that I had done early on in my symptoms, and nobody else had even spotted that. So, I mean, she's fantastic. So when she recommended Ocrevus, like whatever you whatever you say,
Yeah.
Yeah.
she didn't really give us that many options, but because it was primary progressive, Ocrevus is supposed to be good for that as well as relapsing remitting. So that seemed like an easy choice.
Nice.
Has anyone had problems where they couldn't get the medication they wanted to because insurance coverage wouldn't allow it?
I did at first. I had some hiccups, but eventually they did approve it, but they didn't want to at first. But you know, the doctor was persistent, and it wasn't that much of a battle after she put in her 2 cents worth. But yeah, a little bit of hiccups here and there.
No hiccups for me. So,
No.
mm-mm.
I know my insurance last year when I started Ocrevus, they required 3 failures before Ocrevus, and I only had 2 failures. So the doctor's office had to work with them to get it to cover Ocrevus.
Wow.
That's frustrating when
Yeah.
the insurance company, like their opinion, it trumps your. I always feel inappropriate using that expression now, trumps, because I'm not being political, but it's when you know the insurance company that opinion is more important than that of your doctor. That's frustrating.
Mm.
Well, that was the same thing
Unfortunately.
with me last year with my insurance company as well, where they wouldn't give me a stimulant because MS fatigue was not an indication for a stimulant. So I had to wait until my new insurance company this year to get medication.
Wow.
And why do you take stimulant? Is that for like energy or
Yeah, for fatigue. So
for fatigue?
still,
Okay.
I found a new supplement last week through Dr. Terry Walls that I started taking last week that actually I think helps more.
For
Um,
fatigue?
More than a stimulant. Yeah, stimulant's still kind of like for me, kind of wishy. Do anyone else here take a stimulant? Am I the only one? I know that Carly does, but
I said that, Carly.
No,
Mm.
my doctor has talked to me about it before, but I was iffy about it. I wasn't quite sure about it. So,
are you having lots of problems with fatigue, Hannah?
lots of problems. In fact, it's one of my biggest problems. Um, Naps sometimes help, and
Mm.
tonight's one of those nights. Nap helped, but yeah, it's still a huge problem though. I still have to what is it? I still have to take naps a lot of times, and I feel like stimulants or something similar, I think would help a lot. Maybe.
So
I
then,
think
do tell Kim what's that new stimulant that's so good?
well, it's not a stimulant. Are you heard of CoQ10 or coenzyme 10? So it's like that, except it's called MitoQ, and I guess it's different because it's absorbed like for your mitochondria. I don't know. Dr. Walls
Huh.
was
I was going to
talking
say, if you
about
say
it.
Dr. Wallace mitochondria, yes.
Yeah,
What?
so she was talking about it. So because of her, I don't know if you're familiar with her, Hannah, at all. Oh, you are.
Yes,
Okay.
yeah, I
Okay. So
am.
you
Yeah.
know, I'm an Iowan, so I know I know all about Terry Walls. So so since she was like about it, I did a little bit of research on it, and some people like I feel energy, other people like, oh, it was like too stimulant and I had to get off of it, and then other people like didn't
Huh.
notice anything. So I tried it, and I just did this 2 capsules every morning, at least wait 30 minutes afterwards before you eat. And first day I just took 1 capsule just to see how I did it, and I felt but it feels like my energy has been more and I could sustain, and it's been
Huh.
fantastic. So I just like keeping low expectations, like, because I take a normal stimulant, it's good for a couple days, and like third or fourth day doesn't do anything, it's just so I don't know.
Is
But
that
I
is
had
that
go ahead.
is that a prescription or over the counter?
This is a supplement. I can show you the bottle. I can type it
Oh
in.
no, oh no, that's cool.
I'll type it
I'm
into the chat here.
I'm actually looking it up right now on my
called
iPad because I've
Yeah. And obviously you'd want to look into it before you just start taking coenzyme Q. Not cheap, unfortunately. I'm gonna have to turn on the heater tonight, guys.
Nothing is cheap about this disease.
No.
yeah, got that right.
Nothing is cheap.
But that's what it looks like. Hold on. Let me turn the box the right way here.
Okay.
Okay, Mito Q. Gonna look that up
You can
too.
get it on Amazon if you want to. Like, I just got one bottle because if it doesn't work, I'm not spending that much money. But with Amazon for one bottle with tax, it was like $67. But they say you like wait 3 months to try it. But I have a friend that's in Canada. I just talked to her last night, and I'm like, I got this supplement. She's like, oh yeah, I started like 2.5 months ago on this stuff. I'm like, so what? Have you noticed a difference? And she's like, I haven't really noticed any energy, but it hasn't been 3 months yet. But me, I noticed it. But she can work full time. I can't. So there's been a discrepancy in her energy levels and not.
Mm.
I don't know. I just found it interesting. And if you're interested, totally on a different aside, if you're interested in reading, I told Jennifer about it, but if you're interested in reading Dr. Walls's book, the new expanded version, there is a free book club on Facebook if anyone's interested. They're doing a chapter a week.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah.
If you're interested. They're starting the intro or chapter 1.
So
The
who is
intro.
Dr. Wall? I'm
Who's Dr. Walls? Okay, I'll type her name in so you can see how we spell it. I will tell you who Dr. Terry Walls is.
Have you ever met her?
So Dr. Terry Walls is a medical doctor who has MS. She works for the University of Iowa for their med school and also at the VA hospital. She's a developed secondary MS, progressive MS, and she was in a reclined tilted wheelchair at one point. And with the combination of diet and other techniques, she was able to get out of the wheelchair and started able to walk and bike again and regain function, which I guess is kind of completely unheard of when you get to the secondary part. So if you're interested in learning more about it, I was in her 2 of her clinical trials with her food. I went off it. This is a good example. Is anyone else doing diet things right now out of curiosity in the group?
Not at the moment. I was. Not
Okay.
right now.
I guess to find diet things, I had like chicken wings and beer for dinner yesterday. So
Yeah. So I was on her diet for like 2.5 years. So I was like grain free, not gluten free. We're talking grain free, no legumes, no, what else could I not eat? You know, white sugar, like the whole shebang. And I was really good for about 2.5 years, about June last year. And then I got burned out and my life got really crazy. My grandma died, my brother got married. Like it was insanity. And I got off the diet. And then, so I got off. So June is when I started going off the rails. And then by September, I almost was pretty much bedbound. And it took me, I got back on the diet end of January, but I had lost so much, like I couldn't just stand there and cook my own meal. I had to buy like prepped stuff ready to eat because I had no energy. And so now I'm starting to slowly get better. But it was really amazing how quickly I lost stuff when I went off the diet. And then some really cool things happened when I was on the diet that was unexpected. Like my random knee pain went away. And
That sounds amazing.
yeah, it was because you got that trick knee from high school from dancing, And then the other thing that was really weird that was unexpected was I have really bad seasonal allergies like to grass and ragweed. And like last year after I'd been on the diet for over a year and a half, I walk outside and nothing would happen. I didn't have to take any antihistamines, anything, and that was just really cool. And this year I'm like eye drops, nasal spray, Allegra. So that was some cool things. Downside to the diet, it's really hard. You have to be really like restaurants are no fun anymore, and you always have to bring food with you, and you can get burned out. And if you mess up, you cheat, you know immediately because you feel absolutely awful.
Yeah. Do you think, I mean, are you able to, I mean, if you're doing it, if you're as with any diet, you have to be all in. You can't just do a little bit. You've got to be 100% with,
Yes.
okay.
Yeah, and that's why I was in her clinical trials because I knew I couldn't be an awful test subject, have them invest all this time and energy into me and then like not do what I'm supposed to do. So I knew if I was in a trial, I would be a good test subject and that would keep me accountable. Very good.
So, yeah, you had said, Hannah, that you weren't on any sort of diet, but you were thinking about it or.
Well, so I did try the Walls Protocol diet. I believe level 2, which is not the very extreme diet. I think I forget what you exclude from that particular level. But I remember feeling absolutely amazing. And I remember feeling, I didn't do it for very long. I don't remember how long, but it was maybe 2 months or something. And I felt my best. Like, absolutely, I had energy. I could think properly for once in my life. And it was great. But unfortunately, like, I'm such a foodie. I absolutely love food and I love sweets. And honestly, it sounds like a really poor excuse when I say it out loud, but when you don't really have any other support, that sort of like helps everything to go downhill after
Mhm.
that. So it's just not part of my Hispanic culture either to exclude a whole lot of things that are excluded in that diet. So
Yeah.
I was left as the only person to be on a diet. So I just got burned out. I just got tired of doing it after a while.
It can be very isolating.
Yeah,
Absolutely. If
isolating.
people are not doing the diet with you, like when I first started out, my husband could not eat anything in the house that was not on the diet. Like I threw everything out that was not mine. And then as time passed and I got better on the diet, then he could start bringing food in to eat and then he could start. But when I first started, I could not see the ice cream. I could not smell the Chinese food. I could not see the pizza. Don't bring in the cookies. You're gonna.
Yeah, I go. I do have to say one really great thing that came out of that diet was my no dairy. So I continue to not eat dairy anymore, and that's helped with relief of my symptoms and relief of depression, particularly depression, a whole lot. So that I don't know. I feel like dairy in particular is very much a trigger for me. So I do stay away from that. So that was one really amazing thing that I decided I was going to keep from that diet.
That's
Okay.
awesome that you're able to figure that out and then you kept
Mhm.
it. That's Aren't you
Yeah.
glad you tried it? At least to find that one thing out. You're like, if I want to go really strict, it'll be even better, but that might not work in my life right now. But if I just do the dairy part, hey.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. That honestly made a world of difference for me. And there's no going back for me. As much as I love cheese and as much as I loved ice cream and the different variations of ice cream, it's still not worth the symptoms that will come back if I go back to dairy. So I'm happy for that.
What about you, Gail? Have you experimented with any diet or anything since your diagnosis?
I haven't. I just try to eat well. I mean, I try to eat, keep the 4 food groups in mind and try to eat healthy, basically, with lots of fresh fruits and vegetables. My husband and daughter are actually lactose intolerant, like you, Hannah. And so, for them, they do the rice stream and that kind of thing, but I love dairy, and it's really not, I love yogurt, milk, all those things, and I can eat it, thankfully, for now. That may change over time, but so I stay away from real cheesy foods for them. So I have the dairy for myself, but as far as a cooking model, I stay away from a lot of dairy in that sense. But no, I haven't tried any particular diets because I want my family to eat. I mean, I do cook, and I like to, have things that they like to eat. So I don't want them to feel like they have to go out or bring food in or whatever. So I just try to eat healthy, and that's worked well for us so far.
And that's very thoughtful of you. And likewise, I'm sure that if you've said, I need to try something to help with my MS, they sound like your family is very supportive, where they would be like, okay, we'll do this for you. So
Yeah, I think they would, but so for you all who have been on special diets, um, like did you not find that the medicine you were on, like I feel like the medicine that I'm on is pretty good about managing symptoms so that I don't have to go to diet particularly, but it sounds like for you all, medicine was not quite enough to manage symptoms and you felt like you needed to go on to diet. Am I understanding you correctly on that?
For me, yes. No, diet was not enough, but I also had to quit my full-time job in 2016 because I couldn't do it anymore. So I've never been able to get back to that level. I've made strides, but
Was that because of fatigue, Kim?
fatigue and then the comprehension, how the brain fog, where 1 + 1 = what, like, yeah, and being able to sustain that high executive functioning for hours on end. And I can't see, like, I make the dumbest mistakes now, especially with numbers. And I just don't see it. Like, I can proofread it and just eyes will glaze over and I won't see the mistakes. So, no.
Mm-hmm.
For me, starting the Walls Protocol when I did, that came out of a place of loss and grieving for what I used to be, because this happened in the beginning of my diagnosis. So I want to say I started the Walls Protocol in that fall of 2017, so just after my diagnosis. And my thought process was that I was actually getting on, or I was and am still on, was it the Affordable Health Care Act? So Obamacare. And at the time, at least, there was a lot of talk about withdrawing that act. And so my whole thought was, I can't be left alone. I can't be left alone to defend myself against this disease, and I didn't trust in the system. So my whole thought process was that, okay, I need to take matters into my own hands. And so I researched everything that I could about what people are doing, who are not taking medications, and how they're staying active, and how they're able to keep this disease at bay, at least. So I just sort of like looked over forums and looked over everything. And so I saw the Walls Protocol popping up a whole lot. And so that's how I first got my clue that maybe diet played a role in managing MS or managing other chronic illnesses too. So I did a whole bunch of research regarding nutrition at the time. I've since forgotten all of my research, but it's been a few years. But I learned a lot in the process, and it's changed me for the better, honestly. Just learning about your lifestyle and how that plays an impact in your disease, what's it called? Disease progression. So it was all out of desperation for me, but it worked out for me. Even if I don't keep up with that lifestyle and with the Walls Protocol, the things that I learned I've carried with me to now.
And then That's really good. Like when you're first diagnosed, just to have that time to figure out, like to get to learn more about yourself. And I would imagine that's really important.
Yeah, because it's a very topsy-turvy time for everybody diagnosed with this disease.
Thank you.
So having that time, my work was actually very helpful. So they gave me the time off that they needed, and they reduced my hours by quite a lot, and they really were supportive in this journey. So having them give me that time to work things out with myself was invaluable because I was able to just pour through the internet, and I was able to just sleep when I needed to sleep, do what I needed to do in order to to help myself. And I know a lot of people don't really have that luxury, but I do have a very good support system behind me on that.
That's good. I was going to ask that. As you can tell, some of us here on this call tonight, if you want to call it a call, this this group tonight, we know each other, so we're pretty familiar with each other's stories. But I don't want you to feel like we're like picking on you or asking you a bunch of questions. But I did want to ask Gail a question. Something, yeah. Do you want? I'm curious. How are you feeling, and what's going on?
Well, I guess my new news is that I am getting hearing aids. So um, I'm uh, I'm 59, and my ENT this week said, you know, you're pretty young for hearing loss. But she did the test, and sure enough, I had hearing loss. And I said, yeah, I just have suspected for a while that I had some hearing loss, and you know, people were tired of having me say, what'd you say? So, um, anyway, I also had my hiking stick with me, and so she said, tell me about your stick. And so I told her I had MS, and interestingly, she has MS, my ENT, and
Oh,
she
wow.
walks with a little walker. So she understood a lot of things, but I said, I really didn't ever associate hearing loss with MS, but I trouble, yes, but not ever. I just didn't hear about hearing loss so much. But she said the fact that the brain, whatever she said, whatever the brain or the spine controls can be affected. So she said by the fact that you have differing hearing loss in both ears makes her think that it's related to MS. So anyway, Thursday I get hearing aids, and honestly, I'm very thankful that I get to have hearing aids because I can hear again. So um,
Yay.
so that's been my new thing. I would never have attributed that to MS, but she sure did.
So if I understand you correctly, you have like, I don't know a lot about hearing loss, but two different, like different amounts of hearing loss in each one of your ears, or
Yeah,
I I never thought about that because like when you have glasses, again, I don't wear glasses. Can you have one eye worse than the other? So wouldn't that sort of make sense with your ears that you can have one more, or I guess help me understand. Like, do you have two different hearing losses?
she said my left ear is worse, which is interesting because my right side is the one that has more numbness. So I would have thought maybe it would have been my right ear that was worse, but the left ear is worse. And she said, had I not had MS, she would have been concerned that it was related to something else. She didn't say what
Really?
that something else was, but MS kind of answered that for her that, okay, that's a plausible reason why you have differing hearing loss in different ears. So, yeah.
I guess a couple things then. Whoever thought that we would say, thank goodness it was my MS that caused this. But I mean, because I had never heard of that. I mean, Frank, had you heard of like, no, I mean, no pun intended. Had you heard about hearing loss in MS? But really,
You're muted, Frank.
Oh.
That is not the story of my life. Yeah, I've heard of people with hearing problems. I've known people that have had speech problems, hearing problems, sense of smell. It can do anything. It's MS.
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Because I was just, in all of my years with the disease, I'm thinking, just when you think you knew everything, then Jennifer looked it up, and I don't know how many people.
It's like 6% of people that are diagnosed with MS that they estimated. I have an article. If you're interested, Gail, I can send it to you, or I can,
Yeah, I'd be glad to read it.
yeah, there was something on Healthline or on WebMD or one of those like publications online about hearing loss and multiple sclerosis. But it was saying that about 6% of people living with MS do experience hearing loss.
Okay. Mhm.
So I just thought that's interesting. But like Frank said, MS can just monkey with everything.
Yeah. Mhm. Mhm.
So
I
Wow.
don't have problems with the hearing loss part. I have the problem where someone's talking and then the translation. I hear them, but then my brain can't translate it. So I'm like, what? Like I couldn't keep up, and I just like, no compute. You need to
Like comprehension?
Yep.
Is that the word you're looking
Yes.
for? Okay.
Yep.
Like
It,
you
Yep.
hear the sounds, your hearing is just fine, but somehow there's just a glitch in your system to translate it into like,
Mhm.
oh,
it just gets filed in the wrong place. That's the way I look at it. And it's the instant recall. I could hear something and then be asked about it or need it a minute later and I can't find it. But if I'll wait,
Mm,
it'll all get put where it needs to get eventually.
Yeah.
I
Oh, go ahead.
I was just gonna say I call it the Charlie Brown effect because you know how they're in class and the
wow.
teacher just go "Wah,
Yeah.
wah, wah."
Yeah.
Yeah, that's how it feels for me.
Oh, wow. Mm.
That's interesting. I often just think that I'm with a lot of Charlie Brown teachers, but maybe it is like you said, Kim, that you're just like I just don't like I can see people's lips moving and I can shake my head and act like I understand them. But as Frank said, you
Yep.
turn around 5 minutes later and ask me, and I'm like, I don't really remember what we were just talking about or what someone just told me. I have
Mhm.
a hard time, and I think it's a pretty common problem, but I have a hard time meeting someone and them telling me their name and then like 2 minutes later, 5 minutes later, remembering if I don't just sit there and try and remember names.
Here's the trick. Say that person's name 3 times when you're speaking to them and you'll remember it. Just
That,
when
that's
you met a
interesting,
person,
Frank.
make sure when you address them, you call them by name and do
Okay.
it 3 times and it'll help you out tremendously.
All right. Thank you.
I
I,
have tried that trick before, and I can say that that does work. At least for me, it works.
all right. I'll do it. Thank you.
Mhm.
I just feel like someone will tell you their name, and maybe that's what I need to do is be more conscious to like not just hear their name and then blah, 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 prattle on with a conversation where you have to be more mindful, like, thank you, it's nice to meet you, Frank, or like just to say the name, okay, I'll try it, thank you.
Mhm. Or
Yeah.
if that doesn't work, I found that it's I mean, this has nothing to do with MS, but sometimes I'll just say, I am so sorry. I forgot your name. Help me remember. Tell me your name again, and usually it's two-sided. Like they've forgotten my name too. And so it's kind of an icebreaker in a way, because it's like, you know what? I'm sorry.
Or
I
if you see
and it
someone,
kind of puts people at ease too.
yeah. Or if you see someone's face and you know that person, but you can't grab what that person's name is. You're just like, just that, like, give me a couple minutes, just, and then I'll remember it. But yeah, I'll have to try that. So.
Mm. I missed where Alexa, sorry, this is an aside, but I missed where Alexa and Hannah live in Texas. So I think I came in late. Missed all that.
That's okay. Well, I'm from San Antonio, Texas.
San Antonio, okay.
I live in Palestine, Texas. So I'm kind of in between. I'm a little bit closer to Dallas, but I'm in between Dallas and Houston.
I have a dear friend that lives in Grapeland, which is not far.
Not too far from me.
Yeah.
I might actually know them. It's not too big around here.
So I suppose, is there any like pressing MS? I mean,
I'm so glad we had MS group tonight because I wanted to talk about blank. Go ahead. I mean, I wanted to talk. Okay, have you heard me complain about my feet? But the plantar fasciitis. No, I've never talked about this here. It's like I walk funny, and I have like a weird gait, and I always have to say it's not because of the MS. It's like my feet are killing me. And I had like 5 years ago, one podiatrist said, "Oh, it's plantar fasciitis. Here's, an orthotic." And where the orthotic, my feet still hurt really bad. So I go to another podiatrist. My feet hurt. Oh, you have plantar fasciitis. Here's an orthotic. Wear this. Well, that one sucked too. And so I used the old orthotic from podiatrist number one. Feet were still killing me. So I went back to her and I said, "Hey, this is still hurts and everything." And she put more stuff, more padding in my orthotic and said, "This should fix you." It didn't, but then I just kind of gave up on it and then just kind of kept going. So like a couple years later, then it's like my feet are still killing me. And I finally went to the podiatrist number one and said, "My feet are still hurting." She says, "Oh, well, here." And apparently I was wearing the wrong shoes. And so I had to go get like bigger shoes because apparently my feet are breaking at a size 9 shoe, not a size 8.5, which I've worn for like 300 years. And so I got the new shoes, new orthotics and stuff. Feet were still killing me. So then 2 weeks ago, I go to podiatrist number 3. And keep in mind all the times with my original neurologist who retired and my new neurologist asking, could this be MS related? They're both like, no, no. And so I go to podiatrist number 3, 2 weeks ago. He looks, he didn't even have to touch my feet. He says, "Oh, you have plantar fasciitis." Well, then what do I do with it? He injected steroids in my feet and they've never felt better. Because he's like, "Oh, you do have plantar fasciitis," and just how, but again, the problem was that I wasn't stretching my feet and, I have to do that more. But you're just like, just how you can convince yourself that something is MS when no one else can explain it or help you fix it. And do you guys ever do that where it's just like you just chalk it up to MS because nothing else is right or no one else can explain it, and then you realize it's not MS, it's actually is a problem that everyone said, but you finally got somebody who could actually help you fix it. So that's it. That's my stories is hallelujah, I can walk better. So
That's great. I've had that shot too for plantar fasciitis, and it was amazing how much.
Do you close your eyes when they stick the big needle in your foot?
I do look away.
Yes, thank you.
I don't want to see that.
Have you had to have the shot again?
I have not, but I have a story about feet as well, interestingly, but I ended up going to get some shoes a few weeks ago, and my feet are very numb. And so it was the first time that I've gone shoe shopping and felt like I don't think I can really feel my feet. I can't tell if these shoes actually fit well because my feet are numb. So it was kind of an interesting exercise, I guess. But I got the shoes and then I ended up having foot pain about a week or so later. And I realized that, well, I went to the podiatrist and he said, all of your symptoms seem to point to a stress fracture.
Oh,
Though he
wow.
didn't see it on the X-ray. So anyway, he recommended that I go get better shoes, and so I went to another place for that, and I actually bought shoes that ended up being a size and a half bigger because I had been compressing my feet too much, and it actually, what I think is it broke the bone or it fractured the bone.
Oh, wow.
Anyway, now it's much better than it was, but it was, I guess the MS part of that story is just the new challenge of fitting feet or fitting shoes when I can't really feel my feet. So, but
Did,
yeah, foot pain is no fun.
have you had numbness in your feet pretty much the whole time? Well, I mean, you've been diagnosed recently or within the last year, but did you have numbness? Was that one of your earliest symptoms?
Numbness in my leg, I would say, but feet numbness is a relatively new symptom.
Okay.
Yeah.
What about you, Hannah? Do you deal with numbness in your feet?
I dealt with it as one of my very first symptoms that that did go away with my initial steroid infusion. I think it was the solumedrol that I had to take, the 1,000 milligrams, and
Mhm.
that solved that problem. But it never solved the foot pain problem. So thankfully, I can feel my toes and I can feel the bottom of my feet now. But I do have the foot pain that has been attributed to MS specifically. So no plantar fasciitis for me right now, but we'll see what the future holds, I guess. But
Like,
but that problem. hmm
what kind of pain was that? Like the foot pain you're talking about?
It's specifically on the bottom of my right foot heel. Well, it's a little bit below that, or a little bit of spread out further than my heel into the arch, I believe it's what it's called. And that one, it basically when that starts hurting, and I can't get it to go away, it just creeps up into my ankle and into my knee, and so pretty soon I'm limping through my day. Um, mhm. So I take gabapentin for that, and it helps quite a bit for it.
Okay.
Yeah.
And is gabapentin the same as
Neurontin.
Neurontin?
Yes.
Yes. Yes,
Okay.
it is. Yeah.
Love it. Because I have like restless leg syndrome, and that I take that, and yeah, it's
That's
a
great.
godsend.
Yeah, I love it. I honestly, I had to get used to what's it the dizziness side effect for it in the beginning, but that's since gone away, and I've been on gabapentin I think for 3 years now. I think ever since my diagnosis, and that it's a lifesaver for me because having to deal with that foot pain and knee pain all the time as often as I did and as bad as it was, I am happy that I have that gabapentin.
Absolutely.
So
Yeah.
that helps like with symptom management. That's good. Yeah. Um, I thought it was interesting when Dan had his shot, the doctor said something and he used the word inflammation. And I just hear so much, again, like kind of going back to the diet conversation. I think that's one reason, Gail, that I would think about maybe altering my diet is maybe to like tamp down the inflammation in my body. I've read so many things about like using food to lower inflammation. And so I wondered with Dan's steroids in his plantar fasciitis, like is there inflammation just crazy all over in our body with MS? Or is that, I mean, that is something that I would look into or I should look into.
Yeah, maybe there is. I personally, I forgot to mention one other thing that I took away from being on the Walls protocol, is that I've added a whole lot more ginger to my diet. And I do believe that that's helped me quite a bit too. Ginger, sometimes turmeric, but the flavor's not too great, and there's not too many dishes you can put it in, for me at least. But ginger's a really big one, and honey's a really big one, and what else? Berries. So like strawberries and blackberries and blueberries. So I eat a lot of those now, and I feel so much better for it now.
How do you incorporate ginger? Like,
I drink ginger tea. Yeah.
okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
And
I
okay, that's something.
I happen to love the taste of ginger. I know it's not for everybody, but adding the honey definitely helps. But if you're like me and you just want more spice, I just load it up with a bunch of ginger and drink that, and I'm good. I'm set.
Hannah, would you like a suggestion for maybe adding more turmeric?
Sure.
It goes really well with mango. So if you have a mango smoothie and you put it in, you don't notice it very much. And for some reason, it blends really well with mango. So if you want to add more of
Really?
that to your diet and you like mango, you can put that in a mango smoothie. That's one of the things I learned.
I love mango. I would love to do that.
Oh, that's interesting.
So
It's so funny. You say like, "Oh, put it in so you can't taste it." So it's like nobody notices it's there. It's kind of like when people you watch cooking shows. It's like, "Oh, it gets rid of the gaminess." So it's like, dude, if the meat tastes gamey, don't eat it. Oh,
Yeah, but
so
that's
no, that's good. 'Cause, yeah, when you said ginger, I'm just like, how would you do that? And like the turmeric, just like, how do you? Well, interesting.
I
yeah.
put the ginger in my smoothie. I've learned from other people you don't have to peel the ginger, just cut it into slices and freeze it, and then just take a slice or two out and throw it into your smoothie. And it's not as overpowering.
I'll give you a couple of tips about ginger, which are very helpful because I use a lot of ginger in my cooking. And first of all, if you're making a stir fry, it's great to put ginger in any sort of stir fry. So stir fries are easy. Secondly, I keep my ginger in the freezer, and I will break a piece off or chop a piece off, and then I will just put it in the microwave for 15 seconds or so to soften it, and it softens quickly. And the best way to peel ginger, really easy, it takes you like 3 seconds, is with a spoon. You scrape a spoon up the ginger or down the ginger, and it takes the skin right off of it. It is so easy. I learned that years and years and years ago on a cooking show, and I've told a lot of people, and they love it. So ginger is great, and turmeric. Yeah, I mean, it does have sort of a strange flavor, but there isn't a lot of flavor to it. So you can basically put it in anything, except that it's going to turn whatever you cook sort of yellow or orange. So now the other thing is that turmeric looks like ginger in the raw. Turmeric root looks just like ginger. And so again, you can do the same thing with turmeric. You can chop it up, but turmeric's a terrific anti-inflammatory. It's really, really good. And if you're cooking something, I mean, you're making a soup. Gail, you could make a soup and throw in 2 or 3 tablespoons or teaspoons of turmeric, and nobody would ever know the difference, except it would be a pretty color. And you would be happy and your family would be happy. They're not
And
going to know.
also, turmeric, if you add it to broccoli, gives it a beautiful color, and it makes it like it makes it look not even real, like you want to eat it more, and it adds the health benefit.
I would
So
love to try that.
do you buy turmeric raw? I mean,
So
this is
you,
like idiot guide to spices because you're talking ginger and turmeric. I'm like, how exactly do I buy that?
how do
Like
you
I've
buy? Okay. So
seen
ginger, you'll find raw ginger. You'll find in most supermarkets today.
that's a funny looking like brown plant or
Yes,
not like
Yeah,
like a knobbly
the root.
root-looking thing, right?
It's usually in the refrigerated section.
And yeah, usually when you get it home, cut it up into, into smaller sections and just put it in the freezer. And it'll stay for a long, long time in the freezer. And then you just take it out. Turmeric, it's harder to find raw. You probably would have to go to an Asian supermarket to find it raw, but you can find turmeric in powder form pretty much anywhere, and it's effective in powder form. So you just, you could even stick a couple of teaspoons of that turmeric powder in your mango smoothie.
well,
You would
I'm
give it a better color.
yeah, I'm curious because I have broccoli in my refrigerator, our refrigerator. It's not Dan's too. I have broccoli and I'm the turmeric. If I need to go to the
Steam,
store.
yeah.
Yeah, we could like steam the broccoli and put turmeric on it. All right.
Now,
I
let me
feel like I'm doing homework for our next meeting. I will have a report. I'm
Actually, let me give you a tip. If you go into an Asian store, like an Indian store or somewhere like that,
I live in Mount Pleasant, Michigan. That's not going to be easy to find.
okay, well, I was just going to say turmeric is going to be much, much less expensive if you
Okay.
buy it from an Asian store than if you buy it at, say, your local supermarket. It's going to be, it's dirt cheap there, and it comes in big bags, So I buy most of my spices, herbs and spices, at either the Asian store or the big Hispanic grocery. There are some huge, beautiful Hispanic grocery stores around where I live. So I get so I can buy cumin for like 69 cents for a packet of cumin seed,
And it's good cumin
great.
too.
It's good.
That's great.
Right. I'm a little concerned about Hannah because she had to give up dairy. So what do you do for chili rellenos now? You can't eat any chili rellenos anymore.
I know that used to be one of my very favorite dishes, and I'm honestly, I haven't eaten one chile relleno in like 3 years now, and
Okay.
I'm just now getting into the dairy-free cheeses that they have at the
Yeah.
supermarket. So I've yet to try making one with the dairy-free cheese yet, but I love it. It's so sad I can't eat it anymore.
Well, I gave up. This conversation has been really interesting to me. I've been listening, because in most of I lead a advanced prostate cancer group that meets weekly, and we have a big turnout. We have usually 20 to 30 people on there every week. So invariably, the conversation would turn at some point in time to diet and nutrition, or complementary exercise diet. Yesterday, we spent a lot of time talking about exercise because one of our guys got a telemed conference with one of our favorite docs, and she gave him a big kick up the backside because he wasn't exercising enough, which was great. But we talk a lot about diet. And one of the things I really haven't heard from you are just some simple pointers as to what the diet should be and what the diet shouldn't be. So for example, I know that in most cases for cancer, what constitutes a good diet and what you should avoid. I mean, you have to avoid as much as you can sugar. Does that mean you avoid all fresh fruit? Well, you don't have to do that, but in an extreme, you might want to. But there's not a lot of difference between white sugar and honey, or aloe vera syrup, or whatever you're going to make it from. There are a lot of great foods which are anti-inflammatory foods, and you have to incorporate those into your diet. Dairy, particularly with prostate cancer or breast cancer, is not good. I don't know much about about the diet for thyroid cancer, Alexa.
The diet for thyroid cancer is almost exactly the same as breast and prostate and colon.
Right. And you know, they characterize it very simply as very similar to a healthy heart diet. So there's not a big difference between a healthy heart diet. But how would you characterize your MS diet?
It just depends on which one you want to follow. I mean, if you do the Walls paleo diet, which Hannah tried for a while, or you want to do the swing diet, which is like more low fat, but you can have dairy and things like that. It depends on which the person you're talking to
Right.
or listening to. It's very
Right.
fascinating how they, because people are like, oh, I have a healthy diet. It's just like in this day of age, you don't know what that entails, because everyone's idea of what healthy is varies so much.
And I think, Rick, I don't know if this is fair to say, but you look at all of us with multiple sclerosis that are here, and it's all different for each one of us. And I don't know if cancer is, I mean, I've heard that people describe MS as a snowflake disease, that no two cases are alike. And I don't know if you would say the same thing about cancer, or if cancer is more it has more similarities. Because, Dan has multiple sclerosis and I have multiple sclerosis, but he walks and I don't. Or, I am not bothered by fatigue, whereas Dan's bothered by fatigue. He treats everybody differently.
Yeah,
But
so, first of all, I mean, with respect to cancer, cancer is such a general word because there's between 200 and 300 different known cancers, right? And some cancers are a lot more homogeneous than other cancers. So, but the cancer that I know best is prostate cancer, and that is a truly heterogeneous disease. So if you put a man on hormone therapy, every man is going to respond a little differently to that hormone therapy. But we know we have some common factors. So we know that sugar is not great. So across the board, try and avoid sugar. We know that dairy is not great. So across the board, try and avoid dairy. We know that red meat is not great. So across the board, try and avoid red meat. Now, I come from the school that I think that if you're too strict with your diet, the stress that you create in your daily life it does more harm than trying to stick to the diet. So I will always say to guys, yeah, you like steak, you want to have a steak once a month, maybe twice a month at the most, but don't eat. It's not a good idea to eat steak every night. And the same thing with dairy. I've incorporated dairy back into my diet a very little bit. I don't drink milk, but I use half and half in my coffee. I do eat cheese because I love cheese, but I don't eat a huge amount of cheese. Right? So and now Hannah has the option of all these non-dairy cheeses, and even once in a while have a chili relleno. It isn't gonna kill you, and it'll make you feel good. And so but you pay for it. I mean, there's some things I love and they kill me. I mean, certain legume, I love legumes, and I pay for it for about 3 days after, but I know I'm going to pay for it when I eat it. I think, okay, I'm still going to do it.
Rick, I think a good bridge between the cancer and MS diets is the need for antioxidants, probably. I think that's something we can definitely agree on.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
That
Oh yeah.
definitely think so. Mr. Austin has been very quiet on all this diet stuff. I mean,
It's very simple.
yeah.
I don't eat anything out of the box. Everything is made from scratch.
Good for
Everything.
you.
Good
Okay.
one.
So I don't have a diet. I mean, everything I eat is natural. And,
Fantastic.
I just I don't get hung up on it. I mean, it seems silly. I don't eat junk food. I will have a hamburger every now and then, but I just try to eat smart.
How many
So
eggs is your girlfriend's
I was
chicken?
going to say, how many eggs you been eating?
That was a conversation last week for all that weren't here last week because he got his girlfriend chicken. So how many eggs are you guys getting a day now?
She's getting a dozen a day, just about a dozen a day.
Well, that's, we've got chickens here where I live. So when my landlord's away, I have to take care of the chickens. When I first came, there were 18 or 19. Now we're down to 5. But when he had 18 or 19, he was selling them down at the local market. He'd just take them down. He was getting $3 a dozen for them. And they were selling them for like $5 for these, free range, organic, whatever they are. So
they're I joked to Kid about it because I don't know anything about chicken farming. I mean, what? Come on, I'm not a chicken farmer. I spent 30 years in Southern California and I came back to Kansas. Come on, But those chickens go out and roam around, pick around in the yard, and lay an egg, and go back out and pick around in the yard some more. They seem to be taking care of themselves. They know to go inside at night. They're smart, So
Awesome.
the only thing I got to make sure we do is go out and close the door so the coyotes don't get to them in the middle of the night, because we've got plenty of coyotes around. So
okay. How about javelinas? Do you have any javelinas there?
say how what who's?
Javelinas. Javelinas are like peccaries. Peccaries. Do you know what peccaries are?
No.
They're
Well,
sort of like a pig, kind of, javelinas.
Yeah,
Yeah.
No,
South Texas.
they're wild. They're
Yeah.
very wild.
yeah, that's all you got. People that have those wild hogs running around. Okay.
We don't have them in the Midwest here.
We have them. We have them
We
in
got-
Texas.
We have mountain lions. We have mountain lions, coyotes, and turkey vultures, and those are our big 3.
Really, we have mountain lions here, but I'm surprised you do where it's so flat.
Oh, they moved back into Kansas. They weren't here for a lot of years, but they've come down into the flats, and of course they're now mountain lions. So here they're cougars or pumas or some of their name, but they're a mountain lion. They're all the same.
They must be they must be the Republican mountain lions that came back to your state.
Well, if it's in Kansas, they're Republican.
There you go. Oh boy.
So,
Go ahead.
as far as because I had talked earlier and kind of jumped in with my feet and stuff, but I mean, what else? You came to the group tonight, and other than spices and coyotes and everything, what else do you want to talk about tonight? Anything burning in your mind saying, I wish we could talk about this?
Just a thought. Well, a question. Do any of you all experience sleep apnea? Do you have sleep apnea? Because I do. No? Okay. Just
Sleeping
curious. Because
problems, but not sleep apnea per se.
Is that
I,
where you?
it's particularly sleep apnea. My neurologist has talked to me about that, and he does say that it's sleep apnea. And I went through a couple of different tests, and I for a while I used the CPAP machine and hated it, of course, but it also wasn't working for me. So I don't know. On one hand, it's a I find that it was a good thing that it didn't work for me because I hated that machine. I hated lugging it around when I was traveling. But on the other hand, it still has the sleep problems. So I'm going in for another sleep study at the end of the month, and it's supposed to be for a BiPAP machine. I don't know if you all have heard of that, but I think it's a more specialized machine tailored to me and my breathing habits when I sleep. So I was just curious about that because I'm wondering if I should even go through the study at all. Because I know that my neurologist does say that I have sleep apnea and he thinks this machine will work. But on the other hand, I kind of want to try CBD oil or try other things that might be more helpful. So I was wondering if any of you guys have experienced anything like that or have heard of anything like that.
So Hannah, I have two things that I want to ask. Okay, in not a creepy way. Um, if I could ever contact you, Dan and my neurologist down at the University of Michigan Hospital, she's
Hmm.
really interested in the connection between sleep apnea and multiple sclerosis.
Oh
So if
yeah,
you want, I could like look at like for any sort of information from her and I could send it your way. And that
yeah,
the other question that this involves you, Rick, is there a way that we could all, and Gail was kind of curious about this, where we could all kind of share our information? I mean, we're in touch on social media, but just like email addresses or a way to contact each other.
Sure, of course. If you, um, well, one of the things we have to do with this group is we've got to get one of you up and running on MailChimp. We really need to do that. And then once you're up and running on MailChimp, you have access to all of the names and addresses. So
Okay.
we'll talk about who wants to take on the MailChimp responsibility, because that will also allow you to send out the reminder, which I'm sending out right now. And what we're doing slowly, one by per group, is we're trying to get each group leader to send out the reminder. So if I could train you, Jen, on MailChimp, that would be great. And then you have access and you can exchange. And I'm very happy to with the person's permission. So we have Hannah's. I'll connect you, Hannah, and you after the meeting, and that's usually how we do it. As long as it's okay, and I can see that you guys really would like to be connected, I'll connect Hannah and I'll copy the other moderators on here too. And
Okay.
Gail, if there's anybody you want to know, I'm happy to do. We're happy to do it.
Okay.
great.
Now,
Okay. Thank you.
I have something for you. So our one of our moderators for sarcoidosis is a certified roll call wheelchair dance teacher. And she teaches, she's got this organization called Roll Call Wheelchair Dancing. And I wanted just to raise it, since I know there's at least two of you who are in wheelchairs, not that you have to dance, but
I was born to dance.
well, I would love to put you in contact with her. Maybe Jen and Frank, if I can connect you to Kathleen, and she can tell you more about what she's doing and any way we can help promote that for the MS community.
Sure. I'll
Yes?
go for that.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, I'll take care of it this week. And
Okay.
Kathleen's great. You can find her on our website, Kathleen Turano. She's one of the moderators for sarcoidosis. And she's one of the lead moderators, actually. And so you'll find her on the website. And I had a 45-minute session with her last week, and I promised her that I would raise it in the MS meeting.
Okay. Well, thank you. Promise met. You did.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Now, I don't know if she allows the people who are not in wheelchairs. We need to
Yeah,
get.
can we participate?
That's right. I know. I was just waiting. How long is it going to be before that show's going to say, "How about me? How can I get involved in some of this action?" So,
That's like
Sounds fun.
our men's group out in Southern California, because we had about 25 men that were in the group. And all the women wanted to know what we talked about all the time. And I'm going, no, we're not going to tell you what we're talking about. Why? We're not going to tell you what we're talking about. We want to be a fly on the wall. No, you don't.
yeah. Well, guys, this has been a great meeting. I mean, just from an outside, I know I participated the last 10 minutes or so, but from an outside, this has been a lovely meeting. And I'll send it, we'll get it posted by tomorrow. And I'll send the links to all the moderators so you can push it out wherever you like. Alexa, is there anything else you'd like with respect to the webinar that you wanted to raise?
Not in particular, but I think it's going to be phenomenal. I'm so excited. I'm so excited for what we're talking about. I think it's important, and I hope you all can come.
Yes.
So we need to register for this. Is that what I'm reading?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And I think you all should have the registration information. If you don't, then Dan and Jen and Alexa, we all have it, but we'll keep putting it out. But I do think as best as you can, keep pushing it out through your social media channels. We can put it out through Instagram too. Jackie made a file that suits Instagram. I don't have it, but Carly has it. So if anybody needs something for Instagram, just let us know and we'll give it to you.
Okay.
But ANCAN's not on Instagram per se. So, look, and the registration just appeared in the chat window.
Nice.
Boom.
So you can go there and, tell your friends, and hopefully we'll get I think as the time gets closer, I don't know, because that Kim Stroh, she said to us that everybody plans 30 days in advance if you've got MS, right?
I like to plan ahead so I can do things. I always get so upset when I find out like a week or two before. I'm like, oh, I already have X, Y, and Z going, so I can't do it. So I get bummed out. So I like to know as soon as possible so I can block it out. That's just
Okay.
my personal preference.
Okay. So and you've blocked it out already, right, miss?
Yeah, I registered like as soon as I found out that you could register. Alexis
Good.
is my name on the
Okay.
list. She knows I'm good. She knows it's legit.
Okay. Just checking,
I have a question about the webinar. Is this something that is educational for those of us that have MS, or is it something that we should gather our families to watch with us? Or
Yes.
Yes.
Good question.
Yes. It's an event about how to talk to your family about multiple sclerosis. And so with the panel members, there'll be 4 families. There'll be a mother and a daughter who the mom has MS.
She was 2 years after she was diagnosed, she gave birth to her daughter Tasia. And so her daughter is in her mid 20s. And so Wanda has this whole time been a mom, obviously, and lived with multiple sclerosis. And then we have a young woman who was diagnosed when she was 16, and she will be on the panel with her mother just to talk about that conversation that they had.
And then Justin is like, he's in his late 40s and he's had MS for 16 years. And his daughter and his wife will be there just to have that family dynamic of how the conversation you have with the disease and how much you talk about it, how much you don't talk about it, and how difficult it is. And then we're also then talking to Carrie, a woman from Iowa who has a son, and her husband will be there to talk about just the dynamic in dealing with MS and talking about these conversations in the family. And then we have a moderator from New York, I believe. I'd have to look at her address, but she has MS and she's a nurse practitioner. She'll moderate the conversation. Then the medical expert is, I don't know if you heard Dr. Aaron Boster. He's pretty dynamic and big in the MS community. He'll be the medical professional. So, I mean, so absolutely, yeah, definitely your family and stuff just to see. I think what's nice about these things, and we watched the group that they had for cancer, and obviously we don't have cancer, but it's just like watching that, you hear that family dynamic and just like you hear things and just you, even though we don't have cancer, you can relate to those conversations. So I mean, like for you and your family, Gail, it's just to see that, I think a lot of times, and too, it makes me, it's like with any group, you all of a sudden you feel normal, or it's like you realize you're not the only one who's dealing with these issues. So I think hopefully, that's the hope is with this, and it empowers people to just help them realize and not feel alone. And then you have a part of a bigger community and you can make connections and stuff. And so I'm really excited just how this is all coming together, and now that it's getting closer is exciting and scary all at the same time. So
Yeah, so we encourage people to register, and we're going to share it and put it more on social media and just get the word out.
I think
I'll be helping with that too, by the way.
nice.
I help to run the MS Society support group here in San Antonio, and I'm super excited. I can think of maybe 2 people that I think will really benefit from this kind of webinar. So I am going to promote it, because as soon as Alexa told me that Dr. Foster was going to be part of the discussion, I was like, what? Really? Sign me up. Yeah.
And Dan didn't say, but the one last thing is Justin, who is on the panel, is living with multiple sclerosis, and his mom has passed away, but his mom was living with MS. So you have that dynamic, and then the conversation that you have with your child, but then what's it like to be a kid whose parent has MS, and do you reach out to your parent with MS, or do you say, no, I feel more comfortable with my quote unquote healthy parent asking for help? And so that, I think this could be a really, really, really good.
I will say, after attending the ovarian cancer one, bring tissues. Just bring tissues, have them near you. And one of the things is, I don't have ovarian cancer, but like Dan and Jennifer were talking about, our stories are so similar. And even though I don't have MS, hearing some of you guys tonight, there's so many similarities. And when either you get diagnosed with cancer or MS, your family gets the same diagnosis. They go
Yeah.
through so many things with you. So I think that's another great thing about the talk is we're bringing things out and talking about these important things. I just think it's awesome.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, Alexa, I like your shirt.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Oh, that's great.
And Yay.
We got two of them.
Yay!
What I just wanted to ask Frank and the Digmans. So we've approached. I get confused with the MS organizations. MS Society, is that one of the people that we've also talked to? Wasn't that you, Frank, who talked to MS Society?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So they're supposed to get the message out, but we'll be working with them. And then Dan and Jennifer, you talked to MS Foundation.
Yeah.
Correct. And that's the one, and we're still trying to get back because they'd asked like doing more partnerships and everything. And I don't know what that means. And so I was like, Casey, what does this mean? And I have not heard from Casey, but I'm excited. I think there's lots of good potential there. But as far as logo and stuff, I haven't like really heard from her. But I guess now transition, shameless self-promotion, just saying we will be in touch with Casey because Jennifer and I are actually presenting at a MS-focused teleconference this Thursday night. So if you guys want to register for that, we're talking about keeping the spark alive in MS relationships. So if you want to get insights into that, yeah. So and it just we planned it that way because Thursday we're celebrating our 15th anniversary, and so then it's just like, how do you keep the spark alive? Do a teleconference. So look at the MS Focus and register for that. But like in all the stuff beforehand, as you're getting things set up, I will say, hey Casey, what do you know about this? But they're on board with promoting it within their
They don't have to put their logo on. There's no pressure, but if they want to, they can. It's really their choice. If they'd like to, we're very welcome to have it. If they don't want to, it's fine as well. It's totally their choice.
Yep. Yeah. So that's where we just haven't heard anything from her, but I know they're busy with all their teleconferences and stuff. So, but yeah, it's good. But yeah, Mark.
Our next meeting will be Tuesday, September 22nd.
Yeah.
That's what I was looking for. So. And I am going to talk about turmeric and ginger.
Okay.
Yes.
And Hannah, tell your friends in your MS Society that we don't bite here and we're a friendly group.
Well, I will tell them.
I just can't believe how we're not picking anybody up. That just irritates me.
Well, next month or 2 weeks, well, there will be more. But be happy with the people that are here.
Oh, yeah.
Lovely conversation.
Format freaks out some people.
Yeah.
Like it's really intimidating to go online and be on camera, and I think that's tough for some people. So
yeah, but people don't have to show their face, or they can even call in if they want, so they have the option.
Yeah.
But to take those steps is very, very scary and daunting.
You're right.
I don't know if this makes anyone feel any better, but with the group in San Antonio, we hold meetings every single week, and it's sometimes we'll have maybe 5 people show up. Sometimes it'll just be me and one other person, and I don't think I've seen any of the people, or well, no, I take that back. I've seen a couple of times some of the people that we used to have regularly at the in-person meetings before COVID, but there's something about going online that does scare people. It scares people, or maybe they think they don't have time, and I know a lot of people, they forget about it because it's just too convenient. Um, that was the words of somebody else from the group. So I just wanted to throw that feedback out there. I don't think it's you guys. I think it's a MS thing.
It's an MS
Like
thing.
it's an MS. Yeah,
Last
yeah.
It was great to have you two new ladies with us tonight.
It's
Really
nice.
appreciate you coming.
Yeah, this is an
Yeah.
awesome group. You guys are really cool.
Well, thank
Hannah
you.
is amazing. I just want to brag on her real quick. She helped me design Mr. Peacock. She helped me.
Oh,
Nice.
that's
Wow.
Is incredible. She is an incredible MS advocate. I'm one of Hannah's biggest fans, so I'm so glad she
Oh,
came.
yeah.
Nice.
Well, thank you for encouraging
you're
her.
so
It's
sweet.
wonderful to see you, and it's wonderful to meet you, Hannah.
Thank you guys. Thank you so
Come
much.
back, Hannah. Come back.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, I'll be here in 2 weeks. I'll be here for sure.
Oh,
When
I might be here in 2 weeks because I want to hear the spice report.
Oh, yes. Yes. I would love
dude, that could be the name of like a program, the Spice Report. Boom, right there.
yes. I want to hear about Hannah and going to do the sleep study and if the BiPAP works better than the CPAP, for her needs.
Yeah, we'll see how that goes. I'm not excited for it, but yeah, we'll see.
I understand your lack of enthusiasm. I totally get it.
Just to have like that big elephant mask on my face every time I go to
But
sleep.
if
I
you,
felt like a sleeping elephant.
right, but if you're getting oxygen that you're not getting, and if it helps with your fatigue, hey, is it worth
Mm-hmm.
it?
Yeah, might be. We'll see.
Mm.
I'll update you guys.
Yeah.
I'm sorry?
Oh, I wanted to, before we ended for tonight, I wanted to ask him about your infusion. Did all that go well for you? Last time you were
Oh, yeah.
anticipating going in for your infusion.
No, my infusion went really well. I was forced to go to a different location, not go to the hospital because my insurance wanted me to go to a different location. And I was the only one there except another guy that was there for like 3 hours. And because they give me the Tylenol and the Benadryl before they start the Solumedrol instead of after, I got out of there in 6.5 hours versus 7.5 hours. So that was nice. But I hauled my puzzle board out there. I put 1,000-piece puzzle together. I think it took only like 3.5 hours. So next time, 2 puzzles. And then the other weird thing I found out, Gail, was I waited. So my infusion was on Friday, and then I waited till the next Friday to take my stimulant, and that was way too quick for me. I still had way too much steroid in my system because I had this anxiety, but it was all funneled about the lack of sunlight. Even though it was like a month out before the equinox, I was flipping out about the lack of sunlight. So I didn't have it the next day, and then I didn't sleep well on Friday night. So that made me go, oh, still have steroid in my system from the infusion. That was the problem. It stacked them. So I have to wait over a week to do that again. So I learned my lesson. But it went well. I didn't have any other problems except to get the munchies. I have the night munchie. Anyone else get the munchies in the evening after your infusion? I just, but it goes away after a day. But no, everything else went well. I felt more comfortable actually at the new location because there was nobody there. It was a nurse and another dude, and that was it in the room. I had my own bathroom. I didn't have all these like 10 or 15 other infusion people around and all the other staff. It was just, so I actually felt more comfortable there with the COVID going on.
Good.
That's good.
Thanks for asking.
Mhm.
And now that I've reached I think there's a sweet spot of like $250,000 in the insurance where they're like, oh, you're a frequent flyer. We're gonna have our case manager call you and get you. We want to see if we can lower your healthcare costs. And so I got my phone call tonight.
That must have been fun.
It's fine. I like this one better than the last insurance company. They try to sign me up on something. I'm like, fine, sign me up. And then find, oh, you're not we can't do it because you already see a counselor. You have to see one of our counselors. Like, well, no. So, but I just assume I just have them set up now that after second infusion, my insurance companies gonna start harassing me because I'm in that high tier of, big spender because of Ocrevus. So let's make sure that, are you getting, or, it's funny because I come from healthcare, so it's cute. I tolerate it. I'm sweet. I'm nice.
Okay. Well, I will say goodnight to everybody. Would you want me to leave the room open? Would you guys like to talk some more or not?
I
I need to go to bed. Yeah,
Okay.
no, I'm good. I mean, unless y'all want to hang out.
I have food waiting for me, so I'm gonna go.
yeah,
Absolutely.
understand.
Well, thank you all for coming out tonight. This has been good. It's good to meet everybody. Good to see everybody else again, and
We'll see you in 2
see you in
weeks.
2 weeks, and then on the 30th. So, all right, take care, everyone.
Take care.
Bye.
Goodbye.
Bye. Nice meeting you.